Hello and welcome. You're watching FYI. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, after COVID, if there is one story that has shaken up the world, it is just one word, and that word is Pegasus. Every day a new revelation comes out thanks to the Pegasus target list leaks that have taken place. On FYI, we are looking at how powerful, how invasive, and just how difficult it is to save yourself from a spy like Pegasus. And we are dedicating this entire week to arming you with critical information and key takeaways to keep you up to speed with this spyware. Today we look at tech companies, Apple, Google, WhatsApp, even Signal, companies which market themselves around data security. But encryptions, firewalls, safety measures, they do not stand a chance against Pegasus. Is that really the case? That is what we are going to explore in this episode of FYI. For starters, let's tell you that Guardian, which is part of the consortium reporting on the possible list of targets, quoted one of the people who runs the Amnesty International Berlin-based security lab. According to these experts who have done analysis on phones which actually were infected with Pegasus, they traced which app, which messenger was the gateway to Pegasus. And these people have concluded, and I quote them now, that once a phone is infiltrated, Pegasus has more control over it than the owner. That, friends, is the starting point of this discussion. Can anything really stop Pegasus? All these tech companies or their claims, do they stand a chance? Now, the same Amnesty International today has also come up with some data security tips. And let's start the program and this explainer by giving you a hint of that. What are these 8 essential digital security tips that they have really pointed out? Number 1 tip is don't ignore updates. Frequently updating your phone or laptop system and apps keeps them secure, as companies are constantly trying to fix these bugs and update their systems against spyware like Pegasus. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Number 2, they say, use a password manager. It generates passwords that are hard to guess and stores them in encrypted form. Number 3, the tip from Amnesty is that double up. That is, enable a 2-factor authentication when you can. That means generate an OTP so that you get it on your phone before you can make any changes or even log in from a different device. Number 4, get organized. Delete accounts you no longer use, review your privacy settings, and sites like Google and Facebook, keep checking their updates. Actually read those privacy settings and what exactly are they all about. Number 5, secure your phone. Choose a complex screen lock system like an 8-digit PIN or an alphanumeric code. Make sure you can recover accounts in case you lose your phone or it's lost or it's stolen or something. Number 6, use a VPN app. Now, this is crucial. A VPN will help protect your online activities when accessing public Wi-Fi networks. And number 7, choose apps carefully. Only download them from the official store. These dubious apps are often the perfect gateway into infecting your phone with any spyware, not just Pegasus. Then number 8, think before you click. This is basically warning you against phishing. SMS emails attached could contain numbers, could actually have links that are targeted towards you as well. Now, we've spoken about this phishing and the rest of it in our previous episodes, but all these tips that we just highlighted and have been talked about by Amnesty themselves, a company, a firm, an NGO looking into specifically Pegasus. Is it enough? Well, not at the moment, it seems like. But we've got a company by company outlook for you. Let's start with Apple. Apple says it equals privacy, but does it really? Because Amnesty examined 67 phones, of which 34 were actually iPhones. Malicious links shared via iMessage gives full access to the phone, and full access really. It also means that even the photographs, and not just the photographs and videos on your phones, but it can activate your microphone, open your camera, listen to you, hear you whenever it wants. No user interaction necessary for Pegasus to hack your phone. A simple missed call, you might not even pick up the phone, and there, it's inside your phone. So what is Apple really saying about this? Well, Apple has condemned the attack. They claim hack not a threat is not a threat to most its users, but Apple remember, they market their phones as the most secure phones. But as the Pegasus story broke out, Apple stocks fell by about 2.3%. And now Apple has started what they're calling is a big bounty program, offering $1 million to anyone with the details of exploits, saying instead of leaking, let us know so we can make our system more robust, fix the gaps as well. Next, sample this, what Apple says about data privacy on their site. Let's bring you what the website actually talks about. It starts by saying everyday apps designed for your privacy. Goes on to the next one where they say Safari throws trackers off your trail. It goes on to the next one again where all this available on the site, remember, goes on to talk about your location. Map makes your location history, saying they wipe away your previous records. Again, a claim that Pegasus has debunked. Photographs protects your images from unwanted exposure. Another claim that Pegasus has debunked. It has got into the entire system, taken photographs, in fact, seen people live. Next, it says messages are only seen by who you send them to. iMessage said to be an internal messenger, but this was one of the key sources of Pegasus entering your system, iMessage, from anybody who's using the system. Next, Siri learns what you need, not who you are. Siri also constantly listening in to what you're saying if that is activated. But important to remember, while we are talking about Apple, it is not alone in losing the fight against Pegasus. Android is no different. Look at these claims made by Google on its site.
Whether you have an Android phone with a bunch of Google apps installed, or just search on Google from time to time, we want you to feel confident that your information is protected and that you're in control. This policy covers a wide range of Google products like YouTube, Maps, and Chrome, devices like Google Home, and ads served by Google across the web. We want you to understand what data we collect, how it's used, and what you can do to update, manage, download, and delete it. That's what this policy is for, to help you understand how we process information and how you can manage your privacy as you use our services.
So you heard from Apple, you heard from Google. They operate Android as well. Clearly, two of the most used operating systems in the world cannot stop Pegasus. Next, let's look at some apps. Let's look at WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp was the first to flag off Pegasus. In fact, they dragged Pegasus to court, NSO, the company, was dragged to court. And back in 2019, they said that they had managed to then fix the bug. But now, the detailed forensics report released by Amnesty reveals that Pegasus found another route to infect the app. WhatsApp's head now have been tweeting away about this, saying that the NSO spyware commits human rights abuses. WhatsApp chief also says abusers of spyware need to be held accountable. Next, let's look at Amazon. They were earlier in denial, but now they have blocked access to NSO, the company that creates and operates Pegasus. The Amazon spokesperson told CNN that when we learned of this activity, we acted quickly to shut down the relevant infrastructure and accounts. What exactly was this infrastructure? What accounts were they really operating? What was the data sharing basis and the entire scheme between the two companies? We still don't know. Meanwhile, Signal. Many said WhatsApp can be infected. What about Signal? What about apps like Telegram? Well, they also tweeted today saying, looks like the Indian government has been secretly attempting to surveil political opposition parties, journalists, activists, and several union leaders as well. Interesting coincidence that they've also been advocating legislation to weaken encryption lately. They have been the first company to actually name the Indian government, a claim that is yet to be verified. However, NSO says it works only, remember, with governments. They call them vetted governments. And the government of India, for now, has not denied working with NSO either. So this is what you really needed to know at this point about Pegasus and where it stands vis-a-vis all these apps that we until now thought were very secure. What is the way forward? Is there a way to block it? Well, that is going to be the key of our discussion today. Joining us on the program is Abhik Datta. He is the Forbes Technology Council member, co-founder, Henson Group India, and a cybersecurity expert. Joining us is Arun Deep. He is a journalist at Media Nama. He's in a detailed report of the impact Pegasus has, how it works, how it infiltrates. Dr. Seth is with us on the program. She's a cyber law expert and advocate, and also is Shweta Chawla, founder and chief investigator, and Cyber Solutions. Let me begin by going to Arun first. Arun, your story that I read talked in detail about what exactly and how exactly Pegasus works. We've done a very detailed explain on the program as well. But I just want to start by trying to understand a yes or no answer from you. Do you think there is anything available right now as we speak, any sort of security net that can be installed or a system that can be worked out that can stop Pegasus from infiltrating your phone?
No, because I do all the things that you mentioned at the beginning of the program, right? I have a VPN, I use a password manager, I have my privacy settings locked down everywhere. But at the end of the day, if a government armed with Pegasus wants to get at me, they can do so with what's called a zero-day exploit, something that's worth millions of dollars on the dark web, an exploit that lets attackers use exploits that are not available, that the manufacturers of phones and operating systems don't know about, and they can use that to target. And based on what Pegasus charges governments, they can easily outbid the bug bounties that Apple or all these companies have. So at the end of the day, if I can take all the steps I want to protect and lock down my phone.
But nothing is working.
Absolutely.
Nothing is working. Also, regarding Pegasus, there are lots of these frequently asked questions, and we've got the top 7 for our viewers as well. All of viewers of FYI actually wrote to us trying to understand, will this work? Will this help? So let's put out the first question. We can take that around the panel as well. The first question that people wrote to us about was, will restoring factory settings help at all in keeping your phone safe from Pegasus or any other spyware that might be out there that, well, believe it or not, the reality is we do not know. This is the only leak we've had, so we know about Pegasus. We don't know what more is really out there. Abhik, do you want to take that question?
I can take that. I mean, there's nothing in the world which can make you absolutely secure. There are things that you can do as a user at your end, right? Don't click on links, restore factory settings, don't install much apps. Then why would you buy a smartphone? Things like that. And there are things which we are dependent on. Companies like iPhone or Android, for that matter, right? They would need to keep their systems absolutely strong and keep these, exploits and vulnerabilities checked in so that attackers can't use them to infiltrate into our devices. It's a both-way thing, right? It's a cat race. Anybody could win. The problem is that the bad guys are getting worse, good guys are getting better.
Bad guys are getting worse, good guys are getting better. And what my understanding is that even these companies are only playing catch up. They're only able to fix their system once they get to know that there is a problem and that there has been an infection, Pegasus or something else. Well, let me take the next question, and if we can put that up, I can request my producers to put those questions up on screen as well. Many ask, will changing device help? Well, will that help? Shweta, do you want to take that?
Sure, I can. Changing devices would help if you are not exporting all the content from your existing device onto the new device. If your existing device is already compromised by a spyware or any kind of malware, that's going to be exported along with your data onto the new device. So you're not getting away from the infection, you're just moving it from one location to another location.
Wow.
So if at any point of time you are going to change devices, don't just do a blanket export.
All right. I'm
Possibly.
asking this question also because we heard in the case of Rahul Gandhi, even Prashant Kishore, these are people who've been regularly changing their phones. They change about 6 to 7 phones in a matter of months. But you're saying the thing that they're not doing correct is that they actually transfer all their data, and with that data transfers the spy. But is there a possibility also, Shweta, that even with the change in number, even with the change in device, there could be yet another attack?
Absolutely. If it is a targeted attack against an individual, then everything that we do is going to work for a very short amount of time. All the security that we put into place has some weakness within it. And it's just as long as it takes for an attacker to find the weakness, exploit it, and we are back to square.
All right, let me take the next question now, and this one is about, well, if changing device is not going to help, will changing SIM help? And is the key that your number does not get leaked? So, because if you are a target, and if your hacker does not know the target number, so to say, that's your signature online, right? If they do not know that number, will that help keeping your number secret? Will that help saving you from Pegasus? Karnika, do you want to answer that?
Well, in apps like WhatsApp, that may not be possible because the number is a key factor to creating and open an account, creation of an account. And even if you change the SIM, but if you've exported your data onto the new device, or you've just changed the SIM in the old device, if there has been an attack already attacked, this attack would have compromised the phone. And another attack is obviously possible. So there is no foolproof solution. So even if you've changed a SIM, there is a possibility of a new attack, or if you've changed the SIM in the same device, the phone may still be compromised. So it's a spyware after all, just like a keylogger, a Trojan. Everything that is visible, the device gets compromised, the entire activity on the phone gets compromised. And specifically, if there are multiple apps which have been compromised, then the data from there flows on to the perpetrator. So in the technical world, in the cyberspace, or you can say mobile, I would say governance, you can say operations. There is no foolproof method that things like Pegasus, if can be tracked easily, because there is no click also required to actually infect the phone.
It's zero-click technology that makes it so dangerous. It also destroys itself.
If your phone starts 60 days, working very slowly, if you feel there is a setting, you can just check the settings, and if you see there is any kind of exploits or any kind of words like Trojan, malware, or any kind of spy or certain keys, because although these apps, or rather when they get infected with Pegasus kind of Trojans, they would not be using these terms. They would actually be very, very concealed. So in many cases, the less severe ones, you can actually track them through settings and see what kind of apps or malicious codes are floating in the that phone.
But in the case of Pegasus, what we found out was that the best of the cyber experts, just by looking at the phone, could not tell. It had to be sent to a lab for them to actually detect and dissect whether or not this was infected by Pegasus. But there has been a lot of question about the zero-click technology, iMessage being one of them. And if I can go back to Abhik on this, on the next question that people often ask, then is it okay if you just deactivate iMessage? Say on your phone, you stop using the service of iMessage. Will that be enough to stop Pegasus from entering your phone?
It may, but still the person can still send you a text message, right? Which can still infiltrate the code into your system. What I'm trying to say is, it's a cat race, and you may not reach an absolute level where you can say I'm absolutely secure, right? But you can still reach a level where you can confidently say that, I am amongst the first 1% of the total population which feels I'm secure, right? If you're driving your car on a road, you cannot say for sure that I won't meet an accident, right? You may or may not. But if you're doing all the due diligence, you can still feel safe, and you can say, I may be safe even if I meet an accident. It's the same in cyber world. There may not be an absolute that you want to achieve, but there's a lot that you can make yourself secure.
All right. So if I were to make draw an analogy out of it, and if Shweta can actually take that. It's like if your house was your phone, you shut one door, one window of an app, you shut iMessage, or you uninstall WhatsApp, or you let go of another app. There's always another route because you have so many inlets on your phone. And I understand that it works on this technology which actually attacks and attaches itself to the kernel of the phone, which is like, so to say, the heart of your phone. Once that's sort of infected, it compromises your entire system altogether. And then the question is it time? Like, what are companies doing right now? Are they asking corporate heads, decision makers, people with sensitive knowledge to actually move back to feature phone?
You could move back to your old devices, which don't give you any smartphone capabilities. But the problem there is if you are being monitored through telecom, then there's nothing that can be done to protect against.
Hold on,
Also,
you're telling me even moving back to a Nokia, as it's being often joked about online, and people say, oh, it's time to go back to that phone. You're saying even that is not going to help?
So it's not a bad idea going back to those phones, but the logic would be, why are you going back to those phones? If you are going back because you are worried about smartphone applications, malware, then yes, it's a good idea. If you are going back to the phones because you are worried about monitoring, somebody listening in on your call, then governments can do that with due diligence, with due warrant. And as long as that is what you are scared of, then a dumb phone, as it is called, is not going to help you.